gardening, whatever. He's a remarkable man to me. Boy, I'd like to especially thank my mom for taking care of Dad. The last few years have been difficult, really difficult. Mom, I know if the roles had been reversed, he'd have done the same for you. But I don't know how we could have done any better. There's no way. Very special thank you to Stephanie, my dad's caretaker. Stephanie just provided so much for him, so much joy in having this love and attention he gave my dad this last year. He couldn't talk much, or he may see me and called you boo. And that big smile would come on his face twice a day. I couldn't. You're amazing. You're an amazing person. You'll always be special to me. Oh, yeah. See, although my dad had dementia the last years of his life, it could not take away his life. It could not take away his heart. It couldn't take away his soul. And it couldn't take away his smile. Right to the last day of his life. See, I could see all that love, that smile, the heart in my brothers here, and their children, and their grandchildren. And it's just awesome. See, my dad was like what I would call a member of the 4-H club. He had heart, he had humility, he had humanity, and he had honor. See that last word, honor? That's the word I would say that describes that man. His life was honorable. See, there's honor in almost everything he did. From being a soapbox derby champion as a teenager to joining the Marine Corps as a young man at the onset of World War II. You see, Dad was not drafted. He signed up. Married to Catherine for 61 plus years, he raised 4 boys to become men. In those years of marriage to Mom, as with any couple, there were times they get mad at each other. No doubt. Well, I want to tell you something. There was never anger. You never see anger, and that's a big difference. You never see anger. They might not have talked that after when they got mad, but Mom made sure she had 3 meals on the table and ready for us, the kids, to come home from school and take care of us all the time. See, we were raised the old school way by a Polish dad and a German mom. Oh, I'll say one thing about that. In all the years, and I will say never would he ever say a disparaging term. Never heard it. He had his little quirks in life. Some of the things he would do. Mom would get ready, or it would be lunch or dinner. Mom would be down in the shop working on the TVs. Mom would call, come on, Ed, dinner's ready. A couple minutes later, come on, Ed, dinner's ready. Third call, finally he might come on. Now we get to the kitchen table. It's cold. And Mom would say, what'd you expect? I called you 20 minutes ago. And this wasn't just a one-time thing, this was like weekly, it was a regular thing. Because once he was on track fixing the TV, he didn't want to take the attention off of that. And my brother would tell you the same, it was just, that's the way he was. And then Mom already got smart. Mom worked at the bank, First Eastern Bank, the operations center in Wilkes-Barre. And they always had their annual Christmas party. Well, the first couple years they went, Dad would always make her late. Notoriously, Mom would call him Father Time. Because he was on his own time. He would get there, but they'd be late. So Mom would always tell him, if the party started at 7, Mom had to tell him it started at 6. So they would be there at 7.
That's true.
It is true, yeah. And my dad, I'll tell you what, he didn't have a lot of gray areas. He's seen it one way or the other. He was never like a raw, pat you on your back. Great, great report card, great race today. But if you came home, he didn't miss track meets, he didn't miss cross country, he didn't miss anything, he would have that gleam in his eye and a smile on his face. And that's all you really need to see. You knew that's the way he was. See, that a lot of his life in 91 years, he was never afraid to tackle anything. A few of the things he did besides being a soapbox derby champion and a Marine, he was an electrician, he was a plumber, he was a roofer, he was a carpenter, he was a mason. Him and my grandfather, Uncle Stanley, they built the house out of the lake. Yeah, they built the house. You know how you see the Amish do it today? They did it. House still stands. When my dad got sickly, my mom put the bed right in front of the window so he could overlook the lake. You know, that was happiness for him. Oh, he did a lot more things. Well, I'll tell you, obviously he was a TV repairman, a radio, phonograph repairman. He installed TV antennas. My dad was also an inventor. A lot of people never knew. We could tell you things he would invent that he probably should have patented. You know, because he could think of things and do things, you know, that we wouldn't even think of. Nobody would think of. My dad was also a landlord, a hunter, a fisherman. And even as a kid, we heard stories. He had his own live bait business, catching and selling bass bugs. Dad was a boater and a hiker. He was a big gardener and a winemaker. Dad was a humanitarian, a lover of dogs and cats and all animals. He loved football, basketball, hockey, track and cross country. He was a huge Nanny Hook basketball fan. He played golf, and believe it or not, he had a hole-in-one one day. He played shuffleboard, pool, darts, horseshoes. He liked country music, loved the polkas, polka dancing, the German Oompa bands. The last 25 years, my mom and dad had been retired. They just loved it. They would travel all over. See, but first and foremost, my dad was a father and a husband. His work was gospel. He never was a bragger. Although he claimed to make the longest shot at the old Nanny Hook High School gym, we just had to know it was true. If it wasn't true, he'd have never said it. Obviously, we weren't there to witness it. Dad liked innovative things. You know, something new came out, he had it. You know, he would get it. The first new jet-propelled engine came out for boats. He read about it. He read about it for a year. Went to Tunkhannock to see the first one. Went up to Susquehanna River to kind of walk. He also bought a Corvair. Now that didn't turn out so well. You know, my dad didn't like microwave ovens. He refused. We never had a microwave oven in our house. He refused to have anything even heated, reheated, even a restaurant. That's microwave. I don't want it. I don't like it. That's the way he was. Dad was never a pretentious man. He never had a Cadillac. He never wanted one. See, in his world, his four boys were his Cadillacs, and Mom was his Rolls Royce. All right, how many people in here have seen the movie It's a Wonderful Life? Jimmy Stewart plays the part of George Bailey. It's a Christmas movie. It's a classic. If you haven't seen it, gosh, let your kids watch it. I mean, it is just my favorite. Well, Clarence, the angel, was sent down to show George Bailey all the good he had done in his life. Because George didn't realize it. Clarence wanted to get his wings. That's why he was sent down from heaven. Well, if you'd kind of let me be Clarence here for a few minutes, the angel, I'll tell you all the good my dad did. He helped me start my business. Auto transport business 13 years ago. Mom helped me out. Neil and Mary helped me out. My buddy Kenny Casey, not here today, helped me out, get me started. Then on the evening of December 29th, 1963, I have that date because I Googled it and looked it up. The Chicago Bears won the NFL championship that day. We had all fallen asleep, Mom included. But Dad, unusually, he stayed up. He claimed he wanted to watch the replays of the Bears that won the championship on highlights. Well, it got past midnight, around midnight. He started to smell smoke. He got up and seen the smoke bailing from under the partition in the hallway. Dad woke Mom up. Gary and Dean carried Neil, who was one, and Kenny out the doors in our pajamas. Only to find out that it was arson that night. It started on the other side of the building. They ran rats from the first floor all the way to the third floor, soaked with gasoline and ignited and left. Well, needless to say, we may have all perished that day if it weren't for Dad. The children and grandchildren might not be here if it weren't for Dad. About 10 years later, we made our annual pilgrimage to Canada. An 8-9-day trip. The whole family, all the boys, Mom and Dad. Well, my dad would always get these pamphlets mailed to him of all these different camps and stuff in Canada, and he would always, for that year, pick out the best one. Upon this year, he picked out a place called the Isle of Pines. This was going to be a new adventure because we were going on an island. First time ever. Well, we were on that island, about a mile from the shore. We parked our Ford station wagon. About midweek, a bad storm blew in. We couldn't get on the lake that day. If you've ever been to Canada, the lakes are so big you can't really see the other side. It's like an ocean. So we stayed in the cabin, played a bit of board games and stuff like that. But Dad really wasn't much for board games. He'd rather have read, listen to the radio, hoping the weather would break. But for whatever reason, Dad decided to look out the window. As he looked out the window, he picked up his binoculars, only to see a capsized boat in the far. He zoomed the binoculars in a little closer. He could see people hanging on the side of the boat. Hanging on for dear life. Yeah. But without hesitation, him and my brother Gary, he told him to get ready. Because he knew my brother Gary was the best swimmer. Gary could swim across the lake, out the lake. And he did. Get ready, they grabbed all the life preservers, life vests they can. They jumped in our boat, no doubt saving the lives of all them people. There's no doubt. Thank you, Gary.
It's true.
No, my dad thanks you too. And they risked their own life. That was risky to go out there on that lake. Believe me, it was like an ocean.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
But that was the man my mom married. That was the man. That was our dad. He was never a bragger or boaster. He wouldn't boast about it. You never heard those stories. So you see the men there laid to rest today. We all have sorrow and tears today. But don't have sorrow and tears. Because Edward Pasco had a wonderful life. He had a wonderful life.